This is my Priority 600X. Over the last few years, it has taken me to some pretty cool places. High alpine single track in Colorado, deep sand in Southern California, and old growth forests in Michigan. These trips have taught me the value of thoughtful preparation. For the first time, I feel like my setup is completely dialed in. And I want to share with you every single piece of gear that I bring, so you can avoid making the same mistakes I did. So the way I assemble my bike is I keep most of my sleeping stuff up front. This includes my tent and my sleeping pad. In the middle, I have a frame bag where I keep food and two Revelate top tube bags where I keep tools and my power bank. And on the back, I have a seat post bag. This is where I keep everything that I don't use throughout the day. Then I also have some water mounted on the rear axle. The bike I ride is a Priority 600X. This bike is unique because it has a pinion gearbox. All of the gearing is built into this little box that protects it from the elements. And it uses a Gates carbon belt drive instead of a chain. The idea is this is much more durable and reliable than a chain would be. You also don't have to lube it. The front of the bike also has a Wren fork, which is much more similar to the way a dirt bike would operate. That fork is inverted. It's a little bit heavier than a regular fork would be, but I find it to be much smoother, especially when the bike is loaded down. All right, so starting at the front of the bike in my Revelate handlebar bag, I keep a headlamp. I really like this headlamp because it hardly ever dies. A rear light, important when you are on the road. A headlight. I didn't used to carry one of these, but so often on bike trips I'm chasing sunlight, and it's really useful to have one when it gets dark. And I also keep my batteries in my front bag. This is a trick I learned from Doozer. They all go in the GoPro case. So in the case, I keep my DJI drone batteries and the charger. There are 3 drone batteries. One was in the drone, but I typically take 3 on bike trips. I also keep GoPro batteries and the GoPro battery charger. I typically take 3 to 5 batteries on bike trips. And then this is my charger for point and shoot batteries. I typically bring 4 or 5 point and shoot batteries on every trip I go on. This is really important. This is a multi-plug that allows you to plug in multiple USB cables. That is super important when you get to a hotel and you need to recharge your devices by USB. And then lastly, I keep all of my cables in the GoPro case as well. So the cables I carry are 1 micro USB cable, 2 USB-C cables, and 1 lightning cable for my phone. My tent is a Big Agnes Fly Creek ultralight bikepacking tent. I really like it because it's light and the poles fold up real small so it fits on my handlebars easily. One of my favorite pieces of gear is my Sea to Summit Etherlight XT sleeping pad. I wanted a sleeping pad that was durable and really comfortable, and this checks all of those boxes. I get really good sleep on it. I haven't had any problems with punctures. So if you're looking for a sleeping pad, highly recommend the Sea to Summit Etherlight XT. So in my handlebar bag, I keep things that I need easy access to. So this typically means my mittens go in there. And I also keep an Airtag in there. I spent way too much money on this bike to have it go missing when I go into a gas station sometimes. So if you keep an Airtag on your bike, that way you'll always know where it is. One of the most important pieces of gear I carry is the Garmin inReach. The inReach is a satellite messenger that allows you to call for help with this SOS button. But more than that, it also allows me to text my rightfully terrified mother when I get to camp at night. I also keep a tubolito in my frame bag. Tubolito is supposed to be 2 times stronger than a regular tube. I keep a pedal wrench in my frame bag as well. I keep this one specifically because it allows me to put torque into the pedal. I've been in situations where I can't get my pedals off because I tighten them too much, and this helps me avoid that. I also carry a Torx wrench. This is for my seat post bag, which is attached to my seat by a Torx screw. In this bag, I keep my power banks, or my power bank, I should say. This is a really good one. It's got like 26,000 milliamp hours. I think that just means it'll recharge your phone like 4 times. This is my tool bag. Pretty much all of my tools fit in here. These are bacon strips. So these are basically plugs for tubeless tires. So if you ever get a hole, you just take one of these little strips out and you attach it to that pin and you plug the hole. This thing is cool because it also has a valve core removal tool on the end. So if you ever need to replace a valve core, you can unscrew it with this little handy tool. I also keep a knife for opening cans. A multi-tool, this is a Bontrager one. It's got Allen keys. I think it's got 4 or 5 Allen keys. And then the other thing that's cool about it is it has a flathead, a Phillips, and a Torx wrench on it. So I would highly recommend getting a multi-tool that has those as well as Allen keys. I also carry a couple tire levers. When you're running mountain bike tires, they can be really tough to get off, so tire levers are essential. So here's my seat post bag. I keep everything in compression sacks just because it saves on space and makes it a lot easier to get my clothes and my sleeping bag in there. So this first compression sack, this contains all of my spare clothes. I have a REI down jacket in here. I really like this one because it's lightweight and packable. Keeps me pretty warm. I also have a pair of long pants. These aren't typically necessary, but I brought them on my last trip. If you want to save weight, I would bring something waterproof. And then I also have a camp towel. I would say this is super important. If you ever get to camp and they have a hose or a river or pond or something that you want to jump in, it is super useful to have a camp towel. And then here is my sleeping bag. So this sleeping bag is the REI Magma sleeping. It's actually not a sleeping bag, it's a sleeping quilt. And a quilt just means that it's open at the bottom rather than like a mummy type bag, and it's much easier to turn around in. So for side sleepers like me, it's a blessing. Last couple of things I carry, I have this pillow, the Sea to Summit pillow. I really like this one. It stays pumped up well and the fabric is really nice. I also keep a med kit. You'd be surprised at how often you cut yourself when you're bike packing, and if you need antibiotics or if you need a Band-Aid or something like that, it's really important to have a med kit. And then a water filter is obviously a staple of any bike packing kit. I use a platypus. You fill up that pouch right there and then you screw this filter on and you squeeze the water through and it comes out clean. So this is my backpack. It is an Osprey Scarab 30 and I carry 4 liters of water in here. I also carry my drone remote and the drone itself, which always goes in some kind of soft hat. This drone is the DJI Mini 3 Pro. There are a couple things that are really cool about this drone. One is that it has collision sensors and it also has active track. The active track feature isn't great because it has to follow you really close and it's tough to get those big wide panoramic shots. But overall, this drone is amazing, and if you like making outdoor content, I recommend getting one. Aside from that, I also keep my point and shoot camera that I'm currently filming this on in my backpack mounted on the tripod. The idea there is just making it as easy as possible to get my cameras out when I want to film something. If you're suffering on your bike, if you're pushing up a hill and it's difficult to get your cameras out, it's going to be much less likely that you actually film and get those important moments. And on that note, the last camera I carry is the GoPro Hero 10. This camera is wonderful because it has good stabilization, and I fit it on this clamp that allows me to attach it to my handlebars. The idea here is, again, easy access. So if I'm on my bike and I want to film something, it's easy to just take this off my handlebars and press record. And last but not least, I carry a Wahoo for navigation. This helps me not be reliant on my phone. You might ask, well, why carry a Wahoo when you can just use GPS on your phone? When you're out in the wilderness, you do not want to depend on a phone battery. The other thing that's cool about the Wahoo is that it will tell you when a climb is coming up, and it will tell you the exact grade of the climb, the length, and the distance. So a Wahoo is really helpful psychologically when you're dealing with a lot of climbing. And that's pretty much everything. I did leave out some smaller, less essential things, but I really hope this was helpful. And if you made it all 9 or 10 minutes through this video, I really appreciate it. The fact that there are 455 of you that watch my videos is an incredible blessing. I never thought that would happen, even though it's not a lot in the scheme of YouTube. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to making more videos for you.